Hey YouTube, welcome back to the shop. We're continuing on with the John Deere 140 restoration today. I got the motor up on the bench. We're going to go ahead and put some new seals and gaskets in it. And then once we get all the new seals and gaskets in, we'll go ahead and get it in the frame. So sit tight, I'll set up a time lapse and I'm going to get the motor all put together and then we'll get it in the frame and see how far we make it. Okay, there we have it. I got all the gaskets in, seals in, everything tightened, replaced a few screws. Actually found that there was a ground missing off of the stator. So the charging system did work, but it was really weak. So maybe it was just because it was grounding through the stator itself instead of grounding through the ground wire. So I got that reconnected. Now I'm going to put the PTO clutch together, but I'm actually going to video this live because I had a hard time finding the procedure on how to set the clearance for the PTO. For the PTO clutch, and I actually ended up finding an old John Deere manual, and it basically outlines exactly how to do it, and they want you to use masking tape. So I'm just going to go ahead and film that live, that way there you guys can see exactly how it goes together and how they recommend doing the alignment. Okay, so like I was telling you guys, I'm going to show you how this clutch gets put together, the procedure from John Deere. So you leave this loose, which right now I've got it tight, but leave this loose. Here, actually, you know what? Here, I'll put my phone up on the tripod. That way there, I can kind of explain this to you guys as I'm doing it. Just trying to do it one-handed is difficult at best. So, procedure from John Deere. I'll leave these 4 bolts loose. So that this plate can move around a little bit. Okay, then I want you to do 3 wraps of masking tape around this outside diameter. Okay, so we got our 3 wraps of masking tape. Now we slide the hub on. And it's going to be snug, that's the whole point. And so now that's going to hold the hub and this concentric to one another. Then we can go ahead and tighten these bolts up once the hub is on there, because now we know that they're going to be centered. Okay, snug these 4 bolts up here, so this plate can't move anymore. And I kid you not, the masking tape is right out of the John Deere manual. Slide this back off now. Okay, so you take all the tape off now. I'm going to double check that these are tight. A little more clearance to get in here with the hub removed. Okay, now we can install the key. Put our hub back on. And then that should spin freely with no interference. And then we can take the remainder of our clutch here. I'm just going to hit this with some light sandpaper, make sure that it's clean, a little bit of surface dust on here. Same thing, you just go ahead and make sure there's no burrs or anything like that, because there's a clearance, so you have to set the clearance between this surface and this surface using the nuts on the front face of this. So the spec from John Deere, I believe, is 8 to 15 thou. So you want to make sure you have that 8 to 15 thou clearance so that these are not rubbing on each other when the PTO is not engaged. When the PTO is engaged, these two surfaces magnetize to one another, and that's what engages the PTO and allows either your depth, or if you have a rear implement, that's what would attach them. So now we have these 4 springs go on here. The rest of our clutch assembly. And we got 4 nuts. So these 4 nuts are what we're going to use to set that 15 thou, that 8 to 15 thou clearance on that clutch. If you guys can see, I'll turn the motor a little bit. So there's a slot here. There's 4 of them all the way around. That's where you're going to slide your feeler gauge when you're setting that clutch clearance. And then I'm just going to go around one more time, just double check all these. Make sure I got just a little bit of drag on that 12 thou feeler. All right, that's it. So I'll just bring the camera a little bit closer so you can see where I'm measuring this at. So right in these slots. So right there is where I'm measuring that 12 thou with my feeler gauge. So there's 4 of them all the way around. This is where your adjustment is on all 4 corners. And that's what makes sure that your clutch is not engaged or dragging when this isn't connected. All right, hey YouTube. So it's been a few days since I finished the motor for the John Deere 140. I was gonna set up a time lapse and do all the sheet metal and put the motor in and everything like that. The video was already gonna be way too long, so I've decided to shorten it so that that video, well, this video is not gonna have the final assembly for the John Deere. That'll be in a separate video. But if you look here, we did get the motor in. It was kind of a pain. I had my wife give me a hand just because it's kind of heavy and awkward, especially when you're trying to line up the PTO shaft in here as you're assembling everything. So it was probably just best done off camera, and then that way there, you guys could just see the final product. It is sitting in the frame, ready for wiring harness and sheet metal. So the next video will be a final assembly of this. Stay tuned. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe to see the next one. Thanks.